LinkedIn presents.
Time and time again, we see companies default to a faster horse strategy when what they need is something very, very different. While many of us say we want to change, mostly what we really want to do is the same things, but just a little bit better. But often, it is fear that keeps us stuck in old ways of doing things, or at best, engaging in what some have called infinite incrementalism.
Happy Wednesday, friends. I'm Michael Kovnat, and this is the Next Big Idea Daily, quick masterclasses from the best new books written and read by the authors themselves. Don't forget to hit follow in your podcast player and sign up for our newsletter using the link in the episode notes. So are you thinking big enough? Are you moving fast enough? Probably not, according to Steve Dennis, author of the book Leaders Leap, Transforming Your Company at the Speed of Disruption. Steve is a strategy and innovation consultant, keynote speaker, podcast host, and best-selling author. Drawing on his 40-year career with Fortune 500 companies, Steve argues that most improvements that businesses make are too incremental and too slow to keep up with the pace of change. He'll join us to share his insights right after this quick break.
I'm Jessi Hempel, host of Hello Monday. In my 20s, I knew what I wanted from my career. But from where I am now, in the middle of my life, nothing feels as certain. Work's changing, we're changing, and there's no guidebook for how to make sense of any of it. So every Monday, I bring you conversations with people who are thinking deeply about work and where it fits into our lives. We talk about making career pivots, about purpose and how to discern it, about where happiness fits into the mix, and how to ask for more money. Come join us in the Hello Monday community. Let's figure out the future together. Listen to Hello Monday with Jessi Hempel wherever you get your podcasts.
Have you been feeling the effects of stress, burnout, or anxiety at work? Listen to the Anxious Achiever podcast to rethink the relationship between your career and your mental health. Get the Anxious Achiever wherever you find your podcasts and walk away with practical advice you can implement today.
Shift happens, and it's happening faster all the time. It's hard to overstate the seismic shifts that have upended most sectors of the economy during the past 2 decades. E-commerce has created a 24/7 world of abundant choice and nearly frictionless shopping, while allowing powerful new competitors like Amazon, Alibaba, and many more to emerge and gobble up market share, while at the same time bringing iconic, once dominant retailers to their knees. Ever more powerful and connected digital technology has fueled the massive growth of search engines and social media platforms. The advent of smart devices has unleashed connections between individuals and brands in ways that once seemed unimaginable. The ability of technology to power sharing economy models like Uber and Airbnb has completely reshaped the competitive landscape. A once highly concentrated media ecosystem has given way to a landscape either dominated by newer players like Netflix and TikTok, or the long tail of micro-influencers. Game-changing technology, like generative AI, can often seem to come out of nowhere to reset the playing field once again. As change now happens more exponentially, rather than in a linear fashion, failure to respond quickly and boldly can make it depressingly easy for an insurmountable gap to be created between what the market demands and what we can deliver. Beware the innovator's new dilemma. Harvard Business School professor Clayton Christensen first pointed out the innovator's dilemma in his groundbreaking 1997 book. Christensen observed that large, historically successful incumbent organizations often fail to respond to disruptive new technology because they default to defending their core business. This relentless protection of the status quo makes them vulnerable to increasing irrelevance over time. While much of what Christensen observed remains true, much has changed as well in the years since his work began to have impact. Today, everything that can be connected is connected. Ideas and business models that used to take years to reach critical mass can now spread in mere months or weeks. The reliance on physical assets as a source of competitive advantage continues to dwindle. Because change unfolds far more quickly, so must our response. The innovator's new dilemma is that our failure to aim higher, move faster, and act more boldly can put our organization at risk in ways that were not previously possible. I'm the problem, it's me. At the start of the third chapter of Leaders Leap, I quote Steven Pressfield, who has become one of my favorite authors. He states, "There is an enemy. That enemy is you." In my view, too many books on strategy and leadership default to talking about companies in broad, often abstract terms. To be sure, culture is important, and organizations are complex and difficult to change. But in my direct experience on the senior leadership team of 2 Fortune 500 retailers, in working with dozens of organizations on their growth strategies, and in studying the winners and losers of the past 2 decades, the starting place of any transformation must be with a fearless personal inventory. We have to hold up a mirror to ourselves. Such a rigorous examination often reveals that our egos are our worst enemies. Transformation requires courageous leadership, and courageous leadership requires vulnerability. It calls us to skate to the perimeters of our ignorance, to ask for help, to admit that I alone cannot fix this. It often demands that we rethink many of the beliefs we've held, that we untangle our confirmation biases, and that we let go of the skills that have enabled our success to embrace a new paradigm for leadership. Indeed, what got us here is not likely to get us where we need to go. Safe is risky. In Leaders Leap, I advocate for 7 leadership mind leaps, that is, adopting entirely new paradigms to help us leap toward a better future for ourselves and our organizations. Perhaps the hardest one to embrace, at least from the evidence of the last several years, is the notion that safe is risky. As I look at the once iconic companies that are now gone or mere shells of themselves because they failed to transform in the face of disruption, think Bed Bath & Beyond, BlackBerry, Blockbuster, or Borders, and that's just companies whose names start with the letter B. They mostly watched the last 20 years happen to them, choosing to engage in what I call a timid transformation, when what they needed was a radical reconception of their business models. Time and time again, we see companies default to a faster horse strategy when what they need is something very, very different. While many of us say we want to change, mostly what we really want to do is the same things, but just a little bit better. But often, it is fear that keeps us stuck in old ways of doing things, or at best, engaging in what some have called infinite incrementalism. Yet the fear of failure is real and it is pernicious, but fear is the dragon we must slay. We must redefine our relationship to risk. We must quantify the cost of our inaction. We must accept that the price of irrelevance may very well be extinction. Mark Zuckerberg, Meta's CEO, states it well. In a world that's changing really quickly, the only strategy that is guaranteed to fail is not taking risks. Said differently, fortune favors the bold. Embrace the fierce urgency of now. In his book Journey to Ixtlan, Carlos Castaneda writes, "The problem is you think you have time." What's happened since the turn of the century, and what's only accelerated dramatically during the past several years, is revolutionary. And yet too many organizations have largely been sleepwalking through the revolution. Take the department store industry, which has been in clear dramatic decline for 2 decades. Macy's, JCPenney, Sears, and others have engaged in round after round of cost-cutting and store closings, but have acted as if they've had all the time in the world to address their core issues of failing to be truly relevant and highly differentiated. This will end badly. But the fact is, we see organizations in all sectors, companies big and small, for-profit and not, choose to ride the brake when they need to step on the gas. To end with a famous Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now.
Thank you, Steve. All right, that's our show for the day, everyone. If you got something out of it, please leave a rating or review in your podcast player so others can find it too. And go to nextbigideaclub.com to find out about our hardback subscription club. That's where we send you the best new nonfiction books as selected by our curators Malcolm Gladwell, Adam Grant, Susan Cain, and Daniel Pink. Check it out at nextbigideaclub.com. I'm Michael Kovnat. See you tomorrow.